Okay, we're at the PMOPA convention at Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and there are some cool people here to meet, and one of them is Jeff Rhodes. Jeff Rhodes with 5x5 Insurance, and I am excited to talk to you guys because you guys are disrupting the insurance market.
Well, we're certainly going to try. We're doing a number of things that are different in the insurance market. We've had a very receptive audience here to that, and we appreciate being asked to come and kind of display and talk about what we do. And I think it's going to be a new approach to aviation insurance that I think a lot of people will really like.
Okay, let's talk about what do you, when you say the new approach, what are we talking about?
So the biggest thing that is different from what you have seen in the aviation insurance market thus far is a direct-to-consumer approach. And what that means is that we are not using a broker network for distribution. We are having our prospective insureds come directly to our online platform, represent themselves essentially directly to the underwriting company, which is what we are. And if you meet the requirements, we will quote your insurance instantaneously.
Like it won't take long at all.
It takes about, we say 20 minutes. Honestly, you can move through the process faster than that.
Right.
As long as you don't have to go look up things in your logbook and that sort of thing, which can slow you down. But if you go through the process, 12 or 15 minutes, you can have the application filled out. You can have a quote in front of you that gives you all of the different options from a whole coverage and liability coverage standpoint. You can look at the premiums, compare them to what you have now, and compare them to each other, and decide what you want from an insurance policy and move forward.
And so, what a typical PA46 TBM King Air, any of these owner-flown world, they're going to be able to go to a broker themselves, like that's out there, and shop the insurance, but also come to 5x5. And realistically, I mean, this is what they're probably going to do: look at yours and look at theirs and figure out which one they want to go with.
You know, a broker's going to theoretically represent you in the marketplace.
Yes.
It's not very transparent. Nobody really knows what goes on behind the scenes a lot of times.
Right. You're really trusting that broker to work out on your behalf. You don't really have a relationship with the underwriter.
What we've found is that brokers are certainly very valuable when you have a very complex insurance placement. If you're a big Fortune 500 company and you're trying to fit a corporate flight department into a great big insurance and risk management placement, the broker is really necessary to make sure that fits in the way it needs to be. But for most owner operators, even of pretty high-end complex airplanes, they know what they want. They know their operation very well. They know the coverages that they want. They know how their overall insurance and financial situation works, and they can represent themselves to the underwriting company as well as, or in a lot of cases better than the broker can represent them to that company.
Right. And so for a 5x5 or for an owner operator, go online, fill out the form. We're talking about hours and credentials and experience and loss history, type of airplane, whole value, all these things that just are so critical to the decision of what premium am I going to have to pay and what coverage am I going to have.
That's right. And you know, the one thing we do differently, I think, also from an underwriting standpoint, is we're really tailoring our underwriting approach to what these owner pilot associations are recommending for pilots. What are the best practices in operating a single airplane flight department, a single pilot flight department, which is what the majority of these owner operators have. And so it's different than a professional flight department environment. It's different from certainly an airline or even a little airplane operator. So the corporate operator, the small flight department operator is really kind of what we're tailored to. And we wanted to make sure our underwriting guidelines, our requirements for training, our requirements, our coverages that we offer really align to this type of organization. So our bread and butter is owner-flown turbine airplanes and high-end piston airplanes. You know, think Cirruses, think the piston.
Well, the PA46 is right in the. I mean, we're the bullseye.
The PA46 is the bullseye. Other single-engine, multi-engine turboprops and light jets. The limits that we're offering, the coverage that we're offering is right in the bullseye of where this kind of organization really wants to provide coverage.
Okay, let's talk about one of the things that came out recently. 5x5, we've known something was happening in the PA-46 world. There's some people in the PA-46 world, they're part of 5x5 that really wanted this. But it really dates back to probably the late teens, 2018, 19, where people were, man, the premiums are going through the roof, and we just don't like the way the insurance is done. And people got together and said, let's come up with 5x5. Am I saying this right?
Yeah, very, very much so. We feel like, again, that we can bring a new approach. Modern avionics systems and modern systems allow a much more data-driven underwriting approach. So,
which you're a favor of.
Well, I'm a big fan of.
Okay.
And it's not so much, and we've had this conversation a number of times here, even this week. It's not so much of a tattletale system that looks at an individual operator and says, "Oh, you busted an approach there, and we're gonna ding you from an insurance standpoint." It's really to look at, how does this category of airplane operating, and how does it change when we do different training events? For example, what is an optimal level of proficiency in an hours per year, and how does that correlate to losses over time? So it's not a we take data in and that's the magic bullet on underwriting that makes all the decisions. It's more of an ongoing research project in what are the better ways to underwrite this category of aircraft.
And as we get more data from more different people with aircraft within this subset, you end up with a better body of evidence of what normal looks like.
That's right.
And then
what good looks like.
What good looks like. Yeah, to quote Charlie Precourt, which was, I don't know if he coined the term or just was so smart, but anyway, what does good look like? And the idea, with this body of evidence, we know what good looks like, and the idea behind it is when you have a pilot that's willing to fly in the center of the green, in other words, in the center of mass, they're probably not going to crash the airplane, and therefore they're the people that you really want to insure.
That's right. And I think what we'll find over this course of research, data analytics, is that it's not just accidents that you're preventing. It's establishing what pilots are mindful enough about their overall operation to make sure that the FBO is treating their airplane like they would want it to be treated, not just jumping out, chalking the airplane and getting in the rental car and hitting the road, but staying with the airplane while it's being fueled, making sure you're observing the movement of the airplane on the ramp and in and out of the hangar. Those kinds of things we think will correlate real closely with pilots that are flying in the middle of that green range all the time, and kind of indicative of a conscientious pilot and an altogether operation.
The PMOPA has some safety initiatives that have been really gaining ground. We've had the Master Aviator program for about 6 years now, but this year, one of the big takeaways from the convention is that we're going to have over 100 people that participate in the Master Aviator program. We also have the MSIP program, and that's credentialing flight instructors. How important is it to 5x5 for when people fill out the form and say, I'm a Master Aviator, or I was trained by an MSIP, or I'm basically falling up under the PMOPA safety initiatives? Does it move the needle for 5x5?
Quite a bit so. The training is super important for complex airplanes.
Yes.
You certainly understand that.
Absolutely.
And good quality training with an expert in operation of that airplane is important.
Right.
A lot of the older insurance companies kind of standardized on a simulator kind of training environment long ago, and I think they did that primarily back then because that was really the only good training for a complex airplane that there was.
Yep.
We're beyond that now. We've got good in-aircraft training.
We do.
We've got owner and pilot organizations like this one that are really focused on training and standardizing training with the MSIP program and things that other organizations have put together in a similar vein. And we're recognizing that as the gold standard for how pilot operations should.
I will tell you, I'm a huge fan of y'all's mindset behind this. We've seen there are other simulator trainers out there, and we're fine with them. We don't have a problem in terms of what they do. What we have a problem with is when people train in aircraft where the panel's different.
Yeah.
And if you look at our market today, there's so many panels that are a smorgasbord, different autopilots, different panels, different presentations. Some of them being jet props where there's not a simulator. There's all these different types of aircraft. And really, when it comes down to it, our airframe doesn't have a real negative flight training envelope. Like, in other words, we don't have a problem if you have with engine failure training. We don't have a asymmetrical thrust that's going to cause. We don't have any of that. So really, in the aircraft training is what we believe at KC Aviation to be really, really good. Now, with 5x5, kind of sounds like y'all think the same thing, that in the aircraft, what they're actually flying, that's going to be your best training environment.
We certainly think so. And we are really aligning our premium structure to represent that. We're giving significant premium discounts for membership and participation in the owner pilot organizations, number one, doing things in between training events, like adding a rating or going to high altitude training.
Even if it's a rating that's not like got a glider rating.
Training is training. Training benefits your overall operation. And then our biggest premium incentives come with being a master aviator, or being, achieving the top tier of the whatever the training program is with the owner pilot organizations. Right. And Citation Jet has that. TBM has that.
PMOPA has that. And PMOPA has got a convention coming up in October. That's going to be a big part of it because they've been working hard behind the scenes to make it happen.
And I, data backs that up. Obviously, training providers or standardized training backs that up, and those are the risks that we want to ensure, and we are providing significant incentives to do that.
Yeah. So when somebody goes online to your website to be able to fill out the correct forms, getting all this data, really giving a real clear picture of who you are and what you're trying to do, that's going to help you guys as far as coming up with a better premium, better product.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Now, talk about it, because one of the things that with insurance is that you have to be, I'm going to use the wrong word here, but backed up. You have to be supported. And y'all have now you've received that backing from the insurance industry. You guys are going to be rated well as far as that's concerned. That's all been approved. But now you have to be approved in each state. Am I saying this right?
Yeah, so insurance is regulated on a state-by-state basis. So there's no national regulating body for insurance in general. So, you think of, if you've ever worked at a project with the FAA, you know what a regulatory challenge looks like. Multiply that by 50, each individual state has their own little regulatory body that we have to compliance, yes, but we have to. It's just a regulatory process. We have to file applications. Some states require a pretty intensive review of your forms and your rate plans and that sort of thing, and have to actively approve that. Some states kind of accept whatever you send them, and you just kind of have to wait on them to respond back and say, yeah, go. And so we are in the process of doing that nationwide right now.
And you've got some states that have already approved.
Yeah, we are currently active in 10 states. So well on the way to getting a critical mass, if you will.
And as they start to fall, more will fall, but eventually you'll get all of them.
I've added 2 new states in the last 2 days.
Which ones?
We got Nevada and Arkansas today. Okay. We've got New Mexico yesterday. So they're starting to kind of fall, and some of them will take longer. There's some big states that that have a lot of aviation that are really key to our success, and we'll have those in the next month or two.
Right.
I'd say if anybody's interested, make sure you stay in touch with us, and we'll keep everybody informed as to where we are and when we roll out into new things.
Okay. So how do people get a hold of you? How do people get a hold of the system? Where do they go?
Yep. So 5x5 Aviation Insurance. Just go there. It's our online platform. It'll take you right to the estimate tool and the get a quote tool.
Yeah, 5X5.
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 Radio call that means loud and clear, and that's kind of what we. That's how we branded it.
That's a good idea.
Aviation has always been a little bit clouded in secrecy. Nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes, and the idea is that, hey, we hear you loud and clear. We understand the problems that everybody has, and we want to be loud and clear back to you and be transparent with how we do it, what our underwriting parameters are, and you come directly to us and represent yourself to us and become an underwriter.
For people that don't know you, Jeff, give me the elevator speech of who you are and how you got to sit in this seat.
So I never, and most insurance people will say this, I never envisioned myself being in the insurance business. I've always been an aviation enthusiast. My dad built a Long Easy when I was a kid, and so I grew up flying and being interested in aviation. I started aviation with an aviation underwriting company, Global Aerospace, back in 2001, and actually right after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And so that was a big transitional time in aviation insurance. I've worked for a number of the big aviation insurance companies as an underwriter. I've seen good ways to do aviation underwriting. I've seen not so good ways of doing aviation underwriting. I've been on the broker side. I worked as an aviation specialist insurance broker for a number of years. And I've been on the aviation operations side. I worked for a 135 air charter and aircraft management operation. Handling their insurance was part of what I did. So I've kind of seen it from all the different sides.
Right.
So I've got a good background. Most of my career has been in aviation insurance, and I've learned to really enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Well, I think y'all are going to get a great response from the PA 46 community. I know there's a buzz about the convention, and you know there's a vibe going on as people talk about, hey, 5x5's got something cooking and things are really good. I think it's going to be really good for the person that's out here that wants to check it out, and 5x5insurance.com. And if your state's not there yet,
it'll be soon.
It won't be long.
Yeah, it will be soon. We probably won't ever be in Alaska or Hawaii, but the other 48 states where we have a plan in place to get into all those places just as fast as the regulatory environment will allow.
Yeah. Well, you can see there's a lot of cool people, and one of them is Jeff, and one of them's 5x5. I think there's going to be a lot. I think these guys are really going to disrupt the market. I think that any disruption is good for the market, and this just going to provide another opportunity for PA 46 people to get insurance that's going to be really good. Jeff, I appreciate you being a part of
Joe, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being a part of the podcast and the YouTube channel, and hopefully you get the word out for you guys.
Great. Sounds good.
Thanks a bunch.
Thanks much.